streaming now.
So anything specific, or just doing like a brain dump tonight?
I think a brain dump would be good.
And we have our episode title. Cool. I don't have to try to get creative later.
Hey, we haven't talked in almost a month.
3 weeks, I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, that fixes that. I know some people asking about if we were going to record tonight, so
Oh yeah.
hopefully we'll have a couple pop on. Hey, look, we're live.
Are we live?
Cool.
Can you hear the hacking and coughing in the background?
Yes.
Yes. Ethan, we can hear your hacking and coughing. The audience can hear your hacking and coughing. I said the audience can hear your hacking and coughing. Can you drink some tea or something?
I think we should build like specialized sound booths for when kids are sick, and just like put them in there, or adults, or students.
So, SketchUp headquarters in Colorado, they have these booths scattered throughout the building that are sound booths. They're like little portable sound booths where you can go in there and stand or sit on a high chair to do video teleconferencing, and nobody can hear you and you can't hear sounds from the outside. They look super simple to construct. And they're very effective. Like, you step in there and you're like, wow, this is eerily quiet. But the next time I'm there, I'm like, I kind of want to check and see how these things.
I was trying to make something better and it made it worse.
The live just stopped. Or froze. Not stopped, but froze. Was that on your end, Wes?
Yeah, that was my end.
Okay. All right. I just checking.
Okay. I am ready when you fine gentlemen are. I think I have enough on my list to blabber about.
I don't have enough screens up. Never mind. Disregard. Sorry.
I can see all three of us.
Yeah, okay. I'm having to use my laptop, so.
It's a little bit less refined than it usually is, but it's perfectly fine.
Okay.
I will mute and do my spacebar trick.
Okay.
So I'm ready when you are.
All right. Happy New Year, and you are listening to the Makings Podcast, a podcast for makers, families, and geeks. If this is the first time you're listening to this episode, because it seems like it might be our first episode, since it's been so long since we recorded. Okay, I'm going to cut that part out, because I didn't know where I was going with that. Never mind. You know what, let's do it again from the top. It'll be a... Wes, did you freeze again?
No, I'm just in stunned disbelief.
Oh. Okay. Yes, I agree. It was that bad. Do it one more time. Happy New Year, everyone. You're listening to the Making Geeks Podcast, a podcast for makers, families, and geeks.
What's up?
Hey, happy 2023.
Yeah.
We had originally planned to record last week, but I had some family stuff that came up, and so we put out a From the Vault. Hopefully it was timely based on the the subject matter of that going into the new year. But we're back, and it's good to see you guys. It's been 3 weeks, I think, since we've
It's been like
recorded
since last year.
Yeah, it's been a really long time.
Ugh.
Yeah, insert haven't seen you since last year joke here and go.
They never get old. I love them. I still love them.
I wish that was the same for me, but
maybe next year.
Yeah, maybe next year. So, it's always tough kind of picking up after not recording for so long because we don't really know like a good starting point. Maybe I guess to start with the holidays. Anything special or, the holidays? Hopefully everything went well. Good holidays with the family.
Yeah, it was great. I was waiting for Donovan to pitch in, but that's fine.
Yeah, that was intended as a question. I didn't know if it wasn't clear or not.
Yeah, it was great. We did a little bit of traveling on Christmas Day, a couple hours away to my sister-in-law's house and in-law's house on the coast of North Carolina, and spent a couple days out there. Before the holidays, we've been working on it for a little while, but we sort of kicked it into high gear when my wife got off of work for the holidays, for Christmas break through New Year's. And we've been renovating one main room in the basement. And we have, for those of you that have been to my house, you used to be able to go into the basement and you go down the stairwell, and you at the end of the stairs, you could either turn left and go into have a media room that has like all my consoles, like games storage and stuff, and you can like loop around. It's like a donut. The basement is basically a donut. You could turn left and loop around, go through a couple rooms to get to the TV room, or you could immediately turn right, and you had like a railing that went down on the right hand side, and you could also go to the TV room there. It was the quickest way, and that's where we had like a 52-inch TV or something. It was an old plasma. I forget what brand it was, but anyways, old plasma TV, had sound system and stuff. We watched Stranger Things there for the first time with Donovan, which was super cool. And we've always been wanting to make that. It's always sort of been a dedicated like movie space, but we wanted to like really like renovate it. It was the last room of the house, last area of the house that hasn't had like a coat of paint on it since we moved in here like 10 years ago. And we wanted to transform it a little bit more drastically. So we basically, when you go at the bottom of the stairs now, the entire right side is walled up. So you can't go to the right anymore to go into that room. You actually have to loop around the back. So you have to turn left and go around. And so you have like this little corridor as you pass my workshop, and you kind of like turn to the left, and you see we have a big, we put up a full wall, and there's no doorway there anymore. And so that whole wall was begging for a screen. So we picked up a 110-inch diagonal movie theater screen and mounted that on there, and we kind of repainted the entire walls. We drywalled all the new stuff. We're getting new carpet. We're gonna possibly get some other little accessories, and I got a 4K laser projector mounted to the ceiling in the back, and it's pretty sweet. And because hey, we got a 4K projector. Oh man, I get to play 4K content. The original Xbox One just won't cut it anymore. I'm so sorry. And I completely forgot about that. I guess I have to get the new Xbox Series X or a PlayStation 5 to play it. So then we had to add that in the bunch. Oh, the old receiver. That doesn't work with 4K anymore. So you got to get a new receiver. And it's like this like sliding scale like kind of thing. And
Can you still plug in the Super Nintendo?
You cannot, actually.
Oh man.
Yeah, so that's I had to take all my, so I used to store my actual consoles in there, and you could pretty much play all of them at any time. Like I like to have everything playable for the most part. And because they're so old, you have to go through a couple hoops now to get them to be able to play on just HDMI specific.
So I have a mod recommendation for you now.
Yep.
Just have the plasma or a different flat screen fold down in front of the projector, and now you can have the best of both worlds in the same room.
But unfortunately, the issue isn't the projector, it's the receiver. So I'd have to get another receiver So I'd run dual receivers and somehow like output to the same set of speakers, which is kind of weird. Yeah, I've gone through all the permutations, and there are solutions that actually have like HDMI, like a 4K upscaling and stuff too for the older stuff, which can be plus. You know, has pluses and minuses. You don't want to upscale pixels; they just make like junk look junkier, and sometimes.
But upscale an Atari 2600.
Oh, I definitely will. So so we completed the first stage of our renovation. The second stage, we're actually going to cut another hole in the wall, on the left-hand side. I'll post some stuff on Instagram to help visualize the descriptions. But basically, I want to make like a built-in cube kind of storage for all the different systems. That each one has like their own little cubby, and with its own like custom backlight behind each one. I would love to get it to project the logo of the system behind the console. So like when you power up the NES, it like powers on like the NES logo or some other cool visual stuff. And so everything's going to be kind of built in its own little spot. But that's stage 2. That'll probably happen in March, I think. That's the plan. So stay tuned. Yeah, I got a lot to talk about.
That sounds like about 5 different award-winning Instructables
Yeah.
you can write there.
Yep.
Right.
With some affiliate links, because those affiliate links will be helpful.
Yep.
Because all those things were not cheap. But we saved
Oh
for
my gosh.
years for them.
And then you write the Instructables, and then you write it off on your taxes, and
That's
then
right.
everybody's happy.
That's right.
So you start coming down the stairway of nostalgia,
Yep.
with all of the animation cells lining the stairway.
Yep.
You turn left into your own little arcade room with
Mhm.
every system since the 80s. Then you go through your office to your shop where you build all this geeky stuff, and the final stop is this theater at the end.
That's right.
Man.
Sounds awesome.
It's a caravan
I know,
of craziness, yeah. So you guys need to come back out. And so that also explains why I'm in my son's room recording. For those of you that are joining us on our live stream, I got kicked out of my workshop, essentially, because it is too loud in there. My son and my wife are watching Top Gun Maverick in 4K. And they're like, we can turn it down. I'm like, no, it's fine. No, we didn't do all this work to turn it down. And plus,
It's like against the rules to watch Maverick at a lower volume.
It is. Exactly. And I also wanted to have like a real world test to see how much audio like gets dampened throughout the house before it gets up here to the sleeping level. So we have a 2-story house plus a basement. So on the second story is all of our bedrooms. So I wanted to see what it would sound like in different rooms and see like how loud you can have. Do you have to like temper your expectations, your excitement while watching a movie, because people are sleeping, or is it an issue? And it's really not that much of an issue. At the most, in the hallway between the bedrooms, it sounds like a thunderstorm. a very mild, low rumble every once in a while. Yeah, but once you get into the bedrooms, it's actually not, you can't hear it at all. So it's pretty good. So we'll see.
I don't know if it is still true, but like it seemed that growing up and through my young adult years, that Jurassic Park was always the litmus test of a sound system.
Yes.
Because you had
setting.
the low.
We need to do that. That'll be
footsteps,
epic.
And then you got the high pitch of all the, when the dinosaurs scream. And so it was like the perfect movie. It's like, you want to check out this sound system? Put on Jurassic Park. I don't know if any movie has replaced Jurassic Park as the litmus test for that, but have you?
I don't think about
Jurassic Park?
replacing. It's more like adding to. You guys remember years ago? Who? Actually, you guys know who he is. Patrick Norton from Tech TV and Rev 3 and all those.
Yeah.
He had a video media show. I forget what it was called, with another guy named Robert Heron, and he used to have like a recommendation of like the movies to watch to break in a sound system, kind of figure things out. Jurassic Park is one. Top Gun was another one, mainly because the intro, and there was a couple others I can't remember what they were, but yeah, there's a probably larger list of movies now, but there were at least 3 or 4 initially.
I'm buying Jurassic Park on 4K right now to try it.
As we speak.
Yeah, as we speak. So I'll let you know.
So buying it on disc and not 4K digital?
That's right. So yeah, I'm learning all the little intricacies of 4K. Netflix does have 4K and other streaming. Most Most all of them have streaming capabilities in 4K. Some have caveats, though. I'm learning, and this is a little bit frustrating.
The compression.
Well, that's a given. Yeah, the compression is noticeable. You're sort of exchanging convenience for like Uber quality. It still looks really good. Don't get me wrong. It still looks awesome. But some platforms hide the 4K-ness behind an additional paywall, Paramount Plus, and that's really annoying.
Oh yeah, that is.
Yeah, so I'm like, ooh, let's watch the Star Trek, like 2009 Star Trek, because that's got some epic sequences.
Oh, that intro! Oh my god,
it's the best. It's like one of my litmus tests for when I show off the room down there. Before, when we didn't have all the other stuff, and so I go to do that, and it's like, oh, you need to upgrade to a premium subscription. Da 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 da. Da. And I'm like, okay, but Disney Plus, Hulu, I think, definitely Amazon. Those all have 4K like natively, and it dynamically switches to the highest resolution, whatever your output can support. And my receiver supports up to 8K, so I still have room for growth.
Yeah, 4 more Ks to go.
I do. I need to collect all the Ks. Yeah.
You know, if this wasn't a, kind of an assertion that we need to watch the last season of Stranger Things at your house when it comes out, we have no excuse now.
When does it come out? The release date is still up in the air, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, but it's sometime probably in the summer, I would imagine.
I don't even know if the last season is 100%.
It's not filmed yet, right?
No, it's not filmed. I don't even know if it's 100% greenlit. Like if it's going to happen. I think it is, but
I think it is.
Yeah.
It's the final one. Yeah. So yeah, we'll put a pin in that. Good idea.
Have you, Donovan? How was your holiday?
Oh, it was really good. We stayed here in Oklahoma for the holiday. We spent the first part of December in Utah, and so we decided, because originally we were going to go back to Utah, but since we'd spent so much time in Utah at the beginning of the month, that we were going to just spend the rest of the month here. And amazingly, surprisingly, we had a white Christmas. It was great. We had snow. Fantastic. We had a great time. And then for the new year, got, babysitters for the little ones. And we went to the roller skating rink with our oldest and skated in the new year, which I have not done in many, many years. So that was really fun to skate around with my wife and my daughter, kind of reminiscing about, when I was a kid, roller skating rinks were so awesome because they turn on the disco light and you can feel like you're going like 1,000 miles an hour because all the lights are like swooshing by you, and you look down on the floor and it's like you've got your own little lane of lights and you try and follow in the lanes. I don't know if you guys ever did this, but you try to like follow inside the lane of lights, and then they'll turn on the lights and you're like, oh, I'm going like 2 miles an hour. This isn't very fun. But it was really cool to ring in the new year that way. Very, very nostalgic. It was pretty cool. And didn't break anything, so that's a plus. And ever since then, I have been really busy revamping my YouTube channels, going back and re-editing and upscaling and exporting some of my old videos and uploading them up to my new channel. I have a bunch of stuff scheduled. I'm basically coming out with a new video every day on my new channel until I get through my back catalog. I finally finished and boxed up my present that has been sitting in my garage for months and is getting shipped off to California pretty soon. I just finished my next Ninjago weapon, which if you're in the live chat, you could see all the craziness that this thing is.
That's your best one yet.
It
looks cool. Gorgeous. Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So it's walnut, it's cherry, it's maple, it's oak, and it's awesome. Like,
that's a designer Ninjago weapon.
Yeah, designer Ninjago weapon. Only what people are gonna ask me if I can make them one. I'm like, you don't want me to charge you what I would charge to make something like this again.
If you're not tied to that one, you could probably auction that one off pretty high.
Maybe. I've gotten to the point where I'm like, I'm running out of room to put all this stuff. I don't even know where to put all this stuff anymore, because I've got wall control panels that I used to hang my tools on, But as a new backdrop for my channel, since I rebranded to Baba Makes and spun off Once Upon a Workbench to a new channel, I mounted all of the Ninjago weapons on the wall control panels. And I'm like, I'm gonna start running out of room if I keep going like this. But that one's done. The video for it is coming out tomorrow, and then after that, I'm going to do a epoxy Lego Ninjago weapon, which will be really interesting. While at the same time working on my stuff for my other channel, so it's been busy. It's been cool. I was really apprehensive at the start of this, but I've gotten to the point where I'm pretty excited about the possibilities of redoing all my old stuff and all the new stuff that's coming out. I put together my list of projects for 2023. There's a lot of house projects that my wife inserted into that list, which is going to be pretty fun, like bunk beds for my girls and redesigning my kids' bedroom to look as awesome as Wes's kids' bedrooms. And yeah, it's going to be a fun year. What about you, Sean?
Christmas was good. Not a whole lot of highlights to mention. It's a little bit bittersweet. We have some family members who are not doing too well, so it definitely changed the tone of the holidays. But it was still nice to be together with everyone and just kind of appreciate being together. And then the New Year's was pretty much at home like we always do, just enjoying being together as a family. Played some board games and doing some stuff around the house. I finally finished up the bed frame video, which was like the last official video that I had planned out of a certain set. I think I released that New Year's Day or like right after New Year's, and it was okay as a video. It's not doing very well in terms of views, which is fine. It was just kind of nice getting that together. I'd filmed that over a period of I think 2 or 3 months, it seems like. So to take all that footage from all these different days and try to put it into like a singular product, it was a little bit of a challenge. My son was excited to be back in the videos, and we did some fun little things for that, and yeah, it was fun. We had a couple shots that we had planned that I couldn't quite figure out the framing for, but it would have made it been fun too. But maybe I'll run that by you guys another time, because I mean, might need some other help and feedback on accomplishing some of that. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
We had a great question from the audience. Is the rain affecting you where you live?
Yes and no. It is just because I mean our area is really not that used to that much rain. I think we've been getting cabin fever for the past week, and nothing is actually fully dried yet. Like all the cement in my backyard, it still looks completely soaked to water. There's no puddles, surface level water, but you can tell by how dark the cement looks that it's still just kind of like impregnated. And since my shop is outdoors, I can't really do much in terms of that. But I have lasers to play with in the garage, so I guess I have that to do. And just the inconvenience of the rain, but sure. We need it, so we can't complain too much. Because after the rain kind of stops, probably by next month, we probably won't have rain again for a year. So we need it while we can get it.
When it rains, it pours.
Hopefully. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Yep, we're safe. We're doing well. So. Other than the holiday stuff, we had talked about kind of just doing a catch-up of everything we've been watching, doing. Just, I guess, kind of like a brain dump of everything. Because I think there's quite a bit to talk about. Don't know if anybody has something they want to lead with or start with.
Let's see. Today I am trying to finish a project. Well, I'm trying to finish it by Saturday. So the time this airs, I'll probably still be working on it. There's a festival or parade that happens here in my town that I've been sort of working on something for. That started in October, I think. Unfortunately, it's one of those things where like you sit down and you have a deadline, and it's like so far out. It's just far out enough out you forget about it until like it wraps back around. You're like, oh, I wish I had not forgot about this. Now I have to do a lot in a little bit of time. And so I went to this course. It was a 2-day workshop. at an art center here in Cary, North Carolina, that a friend of mine was running, him and his wife, and they're basically renowned for making like lanterns for like parades. And apparently, his wife was from the UK originally, where it's like more popular, like in Europe, where it's like the lanterns are made kind of like in a paper mache-ish sort of style. They're using like reeds and like willow and like bamboo and things, and like they're lashed. They build like a giant hollow structure that has like a paper mache sort of tissue paper facade like around it, like a shell, and then inside you put like LED lights or fairy lights or puck lights or whatever lighting is appropriate. And a lot of people will paint out the outside with like watercolors and things so that they're really vibrant and cool. And so this is the second year they've done the parade in this town, and they were holding a workshop, several workshops, and this was the longest one. It was over 2 days, full days of like crafting stuff. And so there's people like they're making like nursery rhyme characters, like there's like a cow jumping over the moon kind of thing, and they're pretty big. They're probably like 3-4 feet, in diameter, like area that they're kind of working with to sort of give you an idea of the volume. One person's like making a gigantic fish. There's like a lion's head, all this stuff. And some other people have done it before. Others, like myself, had not. And I'm like racking my brain as to what to make. I wasn't really sure. And then I come up with, why don't I just make a giant Game Boy? Because that makes sense. But it seems like something up my alley. I know the source materials. And the theme was sort of loosely around like storytelling, and like what's a better storyteller than video games to me. And so I had like several like layouts of a Game Boy, and I measured it out, and I'm basically expanding it or enlarging it to the size of 4 feet tall. So it's a 4 feet tall hollow paper mache Game Boy thing that I'm working on, and it's been crazy. It's been fun, and of course, knowing me, I'm going to try to put in some extra stuff in there that other people will be like, "What? You did what now?" And it might or might not involve a projector mounted inside of it, where it's actually playing like cycling through different Game Boy videos that are actually on the screen. So it's like a rear projection kind of thing.
Do you have a projector that has that short of a throw?
I do.
Would work?
Yep.
You do?
I do. They're little mini projectors. That's what I used in my NES, my portable NES project.
Oh yeah, I still have mine
that I hacked
too. Yeah.
open. Yeah, they were like $15 from Brookstone. I bought like 5 of them, like 5 or 6 years ago or something. Now they're on clearance for $15 each. They're not online anymore. Don't bother searching for them, unless you go on eBay or something. And then, even then, I can tell what you're
saying as I try to search for it.
Yeah. HDMI input. They're battery powered. There's a 3.5 millimeter output. The quality's not that great. It's basically 640 by 480.
They get hot fast.
They get hot fast, but they're useful in certain circumstances. And so this is one where I can basically take advantage of its small form factor. It runs off a battery. It's USB powered as well. They marketed it as a keychain projector. I don't know how often someone would have needed a projector in their pocket. It's an interesting idea, and I haven't seen one as small as this that works as easily. That's not like hundreds of dollars. I mean, it's $15. Good question. So Sean from Tinkering Rocks asked, how do you carry the lanterns in the parade? So several people, they'll have like vertical sticks, and either it'll be one person. If they're pretty light. So if it's light enough for one person to walk with, they'll carry it, or they'll have like a harness with like this little belt thing that has like a little loop in it, kind of like for the flag marching band kind of stuff, where they stick the flag. It's almost like a little pocket on their waist that'll kind of hold most of the weight. My own apparatus, I have an old rigid frame hiking backpack from like 10 years ago from REI that I took all the actual baggage part off, so it's just the frame and the strapping, and basically I'm having 2 vertical poles go up from the sides of each, kind of behind each shoulder, and it'll be like suspended above me, like a couple feet above me, like looping the video, hopefully, if I get that part working. And I got like LED lights in there. I have specific lighting. I'm taking way too long to answer this, sorry. But I'm really excited about it. I haven't really posted much about it, so I'm sort of first time I'm really sharing a lot of the details. I've got
and you're pretty cryptic in your story that you posted on Instagram, so I'm
yeah.
all ears.
Yeah. The inside has like different color changing LEDs. This remote control. I have that working so far. I have puck lights for each of the buttons, so they'll be glowing just red for that. And the whole thing, instead of painting most of it, I'm keeping it mostly white because the Game Boy is kind of whitish colored, with the exception of like the bezel around the screen. I'm going to paint that and try to do some last minute vinyl decals for like the lettering if I can pull that off. So we'll see. It's an adventure, and I might might be the last time I do it. Might be the first time of many in the future. We'll see. It's an interesting medium, and I love this. This is the what do you call it? A guilty pleasure. Ever since I was a kid, I don't know if anybody else is like this. I love having like glue that's dried on my fingers. Is anybody else like this? And peeling it off is like the absolute most satisfying like maker related thing. Especially like, can I get an entire finger, like a glove off? Ooh, I can. Can I do an entire hand's worth? And so like get the glue. I used to do this as a kid. Yeah, I was the only child. Don't judge me. So like I would like peel the entire glue, like basically make an inverse like glove out of glue remnants or something. Yeah, I didn't eat it though. Like a lot of you people think, I did not eat the glue. It would not be useful for my hand sticking fetish if I ate it. So.
No, I did that too. I remember being in school and you get it's the Elmer's glue.
Elmer's glue.
You go, and it's like, why are we going through so much Elmer's glue? Because we're sitting there in the back and we're like rubbing it on our hands, and then you have to sit there and like blow dry it to try to get it to like dry really fast.
Yeah.
Without getting caught.
It gets all shiny and glistening. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It wasn't an only child thing. I did that too. Yeah. And the coolest was always when you like peel it off your finger and you could like see your fingerprint on the glue. You're like, wow, that's so cool.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then you get older and you end up getting hair on your hands and you're like, oh, this is not as fun as it used to be. Ouch.
So have you done the paraffin wax things? And then they peel it off.
Is this a different fetish we're talking about now?
No, it's
okay.
A spa thing. Like
No.
You go to a spa and you dip your hands like 40 times in paraffin wax.
No,
I haven't done it with my hands, but I've done it with other objects.
Like I said, we're not talking about fetishes though.
No.
Not this time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's on Making Geeks After Dark. It's our second channel.
So with the holidays and actually having time off, there's stuff that I had a chance to like watch things, which was really cool. Watch the new Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, which was amazing. And then they came out with the behind the scenes documentary on how they made that and all the stop motion animation that they did for it. And I love behind the scenes stuff. I really do. I oftentimes love the behind the scenes more than the actual movie. But I love behind the scenes stuff. And so I watched that, and then Netflix is like, hey, if you like that, you should watch The Crystal Calls, the making of the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance. So I got into that, and then I went down this like this trail of like Muppet Jim Henson-ness, which was like awesome. And so I've watched a lot of Muppet and Jim Henson stuff recently. I watched a movie called The Muppet Murders.
I've heard of it.
Is that what it's called? The Puppet Serial Killer? What is it called?
Do you know the satire thing?
Yes. I didn't know what it was when I
It's pretty
started
adult,
watching
isn't it?
I was like, what is this?
Yeah, it's pretty adult.
Avenue
It's
Q? Is that what you're talking about?
Henson.
No, that's a live
not
action
Apple
Broadway
TV.
play, but there's a show
Yeah.
with McCarthy, I think. Her
Yeah,
name is.
McCarthy, not Jenny McCarthy.
Melissa?
The other
Melissa McCarthy.
Melissa McCarthy plays a cop whose partner is a Muppet, and they have to solve a string of like Muppet murders of people going and like blowing up these
Now,
Muppets.
are they actually Muppets or are they like?
Yes.
Oh, they
No.
Okay, sweet.
They're Muppet. It's a world full of like populated with Muppets.
No,
but
but they're not Muppets like the brand Muppet.
Does the Henson Company actually produce this show, or is it like just puppets?
Oh, it is. It was not what I was expecting. I started watching it not knowing
It's
what
called the Happy Time Murders.
That's what it is. The Happy Time Murders. Oh my gosh. If you go into it thinking it's going to be like
It's not
the
kiddie.
Muppets, it is not like the Muppets. I was like, holy crap.
So it's
what
like
am I
it's like Crank Yankers or something
Yeah,
style.
like
Okay.
kind of. Crank Yankers?
Yeah, I
Do you
love
know
that
how
show.
much Vince has anybody say
I hated that
talked
show.
about Crank Yankers?
You would,
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I would.
dude. Yeah.
Even Avenue Q. It's been a while since I've heard anybody talk about Avenue Q. So yeah, that's one of the things I've been doing recently is kind of binging on Muppet content. It's hard not to sometimes, especially when I want to feel inspired.
Dude,
Oh man,
same
that's
thing.
good.
Same thing happens to me. Every like year or so, I'll like get into the rabbit hole. Yep.
I had the holiday blues kind of pretty bad this year. Some of the family stuff and just feeling like in a funk. It was kind of a forcing myself to complete the video that I talked about for the bread film earlier. But on like the last couple of days of when I was, had my break, I finally started coming out of the funk, and I was able to, in the new year, made a whole list of all the things that I either wanted to do, I was interested in exploring, and that helped. It helped a lot, kind of set what I think I want to kind of get started on this year. So I have a list of maybe 10, 15 projects that I would love to get to. Saying getting to them by June is probably a little bit too ambitious, but at least by the end of summer. A couple Lego projects. I have some custom Lego cases I want to build, and some other small things. And there's something that I was going to mention. I don't remember what it was now in relation to that. But then just trying to kind of kick back and enjoy and not worry too much about creating at the moment. So I've been watching a lot of movies lately. You guys said you didn't see Avatar, right, in the theater? So I'll talk about that for a moment. I showed the first movie to my son, I think it was last week or maybe the week before, and he had never seen it. And I was actually really kind of curious about his impression. Luckily enough, he doesn't know much about Pocahontas, and he's never seen Ferngully. So he went in watching Avatar, the first one.
And Last of the Mohicans, right?
No basis of comparison.
Last of the Mohicans, Dance of the Fools. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so luckily a lot of that I remember kind of criticizing when I first watched it was really kind of new and cool for him, and he really liked it. And I want to make sure he saw that before we went to go see Avatar 2. And he's never seen a 3D movie in the theater, so I made sure that we saw the 3D showing of Avatar 2. And he absolutely loved it. And I have to say, I didn't really like the movie. But it was probably one of the most unique cinematic experiences I've ever had. It was, just from that point of view, I think it's interesting and worth seeing if you have any interest at all, just in terms of the technology and the experience. I remember watching the first movie again, and then when the second trailer came out, I'm like, well, how different is it going to look? Because I thought the first one looked decent. It's amazing. And I'm watching it, and the whole time I'm thinking, this movie shouldn't exist. This almost shouldn't be possible to be on screen with what I was seeing. So it's very impressive as a cinematic experience. It almost felt theme park-ish in a way, where you go to like I don't know what's one, any of the 3D movies you see like at a theme park, but even more immersive than that.
Like
and there were a lot. I've never been on it, so I can't compare it to that. But I mean, there's no motion. I mean, but just how immersed you feel in the frame when you're watching it. And what's funny is I'm sitting there and I'm watching it, and I'm thinking, this almost feels like VR. Like all the hours I've spent in VR, it feels like it's trained me to watch this movie, because otherwise I probably would have had issues watching it. And especially some moments where the camera kind of flies around in spaces, like a gravity-free moment. And I almost got nauseous in that moment, but it's almost to its testament that I felt that immersed in the scene. And some of the scenes kind of weirded my son out, because he doesn't like the ocean, underwater, and sea creatures. And that's a big part of this movie. So he was actually a little bit, apprehensive on some scenes, but he absolutely loved it. So I can't say much for the story, because it's a mix of Moana and every other oceanic tale that welcomes outsiders. But as an experience, it was definitely something to see.
So it's
And,
like
and
a technical spectacle, but storyline meh.
I mean, the storyline wasn't terrible. I think the storyline's a lot better than the first one.
Okay.
But it might sound weird to say it this way, but it definitely feels like a 60-year-old guy making a movie with old tropes and old
Yeah, that
storylines.
makes sense. That makes sense.
And if you're not really sure what I'm talking about, then go and check out the movie, and you might understand a little bit more. Um, but like I said, the story wasn't terrible. I definitely think it's better than the first one. The feeling of family, um, and there's some other things that actually are pretty emotional in the film, um, that I really think is to its benefit. So James Cameron really produced something very interesting and unique with this.
So I remember watching the first one in the theater, and the entire time I was just blown. I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing! This is
Yeah.
incredible! This is gonna change everything." I walked out and never watched the movie again.
Same.
Like,
Same.
would you watch the second one again? Like, is it that much better than the first one that you'd be like, "Yeah, I'll go watch that again"?
So it's tough because I think this about the first movie too. And I bought the DVD, the Blu-ray of the first movie, and the only time I've watched the Blu-ray is with my son last week, and I've owned it for years.
If it wasn't in 3D, if you watched it normal, would you still like it as much?
I honestly don't know. I think just knowing me and the way I watch things, I probably would, but there'd be a huge part of the experience missing. It definitely would not have been the same because it would have been watching a movie. This is an amazing looking CG movie, but in 3D, you're actually going into an experience, and I think that's the difference, and that's always what's going to be missing.
And he used the same sort of tech that he had developed for the first one that he thought everyone was going to end up adopting, but not very many movies did. Right? They were doing more like post-processing 3D versus using their camera system, right?
Yeah, it's because James Cameron is insane.
Yeah.
You would have to be to even think that you could take this on, and I think James Cameron is the only one that could take it on. He did those years and years of research underwater that he had funded.
Right,
that I'm
for
sure
the Titanic stuff.
For the Titanic stuff, but it was even after that it became almost like this hobby or obsession of his.
Well, not the movie. I meant the literal Titanic, where he was
yes.
like,
Oh yeah. You're right. You're right. I've forgotten that that's kind of what it was about. And it must have given him a unique view of what the world looks like underwater.
That's a good point.
Yeah. And you said something really interesting. So, like, the whole point of, or one of the things that Cameron thought is, I'm setting, I'm blazing this trail so other people could do the same thing. Nobody wanted to. Everybody did the post-processing for 3D, and it was never...
It was all gimmicky,
It is gimmicky, and it's still not right.
Right.
I don't think you can write an algorithm to appropriately approximate that experience. I think it has to be done that way. And I think Cameron is the only one that's ever going to really do this, unfortunately. And the financial investment is also ridiculous. I mean, having to rake in, was it $1.2 billion before you even break even? It's crazy. But it's definitely an experience.
How well has the movie performed?
It's done $1.4 billion.
Yeah, it's already,
Are you okay?
I'm surprised. I'm surprised by that.
I ever since we last spoke, like over the holidays and everything, I've distinctly missed any news. I've like not watched the news, listened to the news, like anything like that. So I'm kind of oblivious as to anything.
Okay, so it's really weird because, all the usual media that I consume or watch on a regular basis don't really hear much about the second Avatar movie. I don't hear many people talking about it at all, other than like Corridor, because they're looking at it from a technical perspective. But the 3 or 4 days, I think at least, going up to me watching in the theater, I couldn't get into the theater that I wanted. They were all sold out.
Wow.
Or you have to sit like right in front of the screen, and I'm not watching a 3D movie looking up like this. I can't do it. They were almost all sold out. So it took like 3 or 4 days to find a showing that I was going to accept to see. So people are going to see it. It's just weird that's not getting the media traction in a way. It's really strange.
Huh. I'll tell you what, my kids haven't seen the first one either, and I'll give it a shot now. I had no interest until this conversation.
I mean, if you don't like the 3D to begin with, then you're probably not going to like this either. But if you kind of liked that 3D and thought the experience was kind of interesting, then it might be worth it.
My wife says I'm a movie snob because if it's in IMAX, I prefer to watch it in IMAX. If it's in 3D, I prefer to watch it in 3D. Like I have to have like the experience. So if you say watch it in 3D, man, I'm gonna watch it in 3D.
I considered watching it in IMAX 3D, but I kind of shied away from it just because it's been a long time since I've watched a 3D movie, and my equilibrium is different than it used to be.
Yeah.
I was actually a little bit nervous about that experience, so I kind of toned it down a little bit. And my son's never seen a 3D movie. I don't necessarily regret it.
Yeah.
But man, in IMAX, I would probably even.
Did he shoot it in IMAX?
I think.
The first one I saw in IMAX 3D.
I think he did.
Yeah.
I did too. I saw Top Gun in IMAX.
And if you don't like it, don't blame me.
No,
I'm definitely going to.
Blame me.
Okay, only us has permission.
Yeah.
Alita Battle Angel. Man, I forgot about that movie.
I like that movie. Yeah, I know Maker's Portal is not obsessed with the movie, but likes that one a lot. And I watched it based on his recommendation.
Alita Battle Angel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's talking in the chat, that's why. And I watched it on his recommendation. I was not disappointed. Although James Cameron didn't direct that one. It was his, but he handed it off to Robert Rodriguez to finish. That way he can actually try making progress on Avatar 2.
Which is funny because Robert Rodriguez is notoriously known for like practical effects.
Yep.
And it was like a movie that was the majority of CG. I was like, wow, this is Robert Rodriguez.
I think the grittiness of the film might be a little bit of his touch, and I think that part was decent.
So looking forward to the new year. Is there like stuff that you guys are excited that's coming out?
Yeah, the Mario movie. That's this year.
Yep.
Yep.
It comes out next month?
April.
April.
Yeah. Oh. Why it's not on, I'm going to say this again. Why it's not on March 10th, which is a flippin' Friday. That's Mario Day. Why would you not put it on that day? I mean, I know they crunch the numbers. They know what the ideal weekends are to release this stuff.
Because of spring break.
But still, I mean, come on.
They should have, because
it's Mario. They're going to see it.
Well, not only that, but March 10th is almost the start of a spring break season that goes on for like 3 weeks for people. It would have been fine.
Yeah.
Actually, it might have even been better. But oh well.
They didn't consult me. I mean,
they keep making that mistake.
Yeah. I mean, hello, look at my room behind me.
So that's coming out in April. Tears of the Kingdom is coming out in May.
Yeah, we got Ant-Man in February, which I'm looking forward to it. But
Quantumania, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yep. You have Guardians 3 in May, I think.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Have you guys seen stuff for Hogwarts Legacy?
I have, and I'm trying not to watch too much of it.
Because you don't want to like get excited for it or like it or like.
The base game is $70, and
really?
the base game is like $70. They're gonna have extra content, which is gonna probably put it up close to 100. I'm gonna want all the content, and I shouldn't be dedicating hundreds of hours to a video game right now, even though I have almost 200 hours into the driving game I'm playing. But that's besides the point. And then these guys got me playing Valheim again.
Yeah, finally. Come on, Don.
Valheim has been.
I know.
I know. I've been slacking so bad. It's terrible. It's terrible. I'll make up for it.
I've been loving that resurgence into that game. It's been a lot of fun.
It is a fun game.
Has the new update come out, Mistlands?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's why we relaunched
like fully,
Yeah.
fully deployed and everything. Cool.
Yeah, this is like Settlement 3.0.
You just have to play through the entire game, basically, through the whole tech tree to get to that upgraded area or that newer stuff, because it's like one of the last tiers of the game. So, yeah. Kerbal Space Program 2 comes out next month. The kind of early release version. So they're gonna just have like the core features and then slowly add on to it. Speaking of Kerbal Space Program, and this week, 2 days ago, my son comes to me. He's 8 years old, and he's like, "Dad, can I play Kerbal Space Program?" And I was like, "Holy crap! This is the day! It's happening! It's happening!" And so yesterday he played Kerbal Space Program all day. He can successfully by himself now get into space. He can orbit Kerbin, which is the main planet, and he can return without dying all the time. And because of his interest and he's like freaking out over it, he's loving it. And also, I got because I got the new Xbox over Christmas, I got the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, and that allowed me to get Microsoft Flight Simulator. So I installed that with the joystick, and so I'm flying around. I thought you would approve of this, Sean. You're part of the inspiration of this with your posts with your kids. And so we're flying around like New York City in a Cessna, and then flying in Raleigh. You can choose any airport. So we flew out of Raleigh, and we're like flying down like the street that goes down to our house. We see like the water tower in the distance. That's like, if the water tower collapsed, it would flood our house practically. So we're like seeing that, and he's like, "What?" And I'm like moving the little hat down to like see underneath you as you're flying. And you're like, "Oh yeah, that's Harris Teeter, or that's the grocery store, or that's da 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 da." And so he was like freaking out over that. So yeah, he's been playing some stuff, and he's been playing Valheim with us too. He built a little hut beside one of my structures, and he's getting into it. And I did not expect him to latch on to Kerbal as much as he has. Granted, it's only 2 days now, but it's pretty complicated, and I'm surprised he's able to do what he's been doing. So if he's doing this at 8 years old, then whew.
Did you watch Malcolm in the Middle at all?
I did not like it at first one, but I've watched a couple things in the last couple of days, strangely, that you mention it, and it's actually making me want to go back and watch the run of it, because I only didn't like the couple episodes I saw back in its original run, and I didn't care for it. But I think I might.
So the thing about Malcolm in the Middle is it's not a kid's show.
Right, that's what I'm hearing. Yeah,
it's a parent show from a kid's perspective.
Got it.
As a parent, it's hilarious. There is an episode where Hal, Bryan Cranston, the dad, his son wants to get into roller skating. Have you seen the scene? He's like, "Son,
I think I have.
There's no turning back. It will be all consumed." And like all the lights go down and there's just a spotlight on him as like the world shrinks. It is a great scene. But I was like, oh, I wonder if Wes was having that moment where he's like, where his son is like showing interest in something he's passionate about. He's like, "It will consume your life. It'll be all encompassing. You will eat, drink, breathe, sleep this, like, and you will love every moment of it." And he's like, "Okay." And all the lights come back and it's like, "All right, we'll start tomorrow." You have to see that clip. I think if you search up once you start, there's no going back.
Nice.
And watch that. I was like, yeah, that was it like that. I want to see, was it like that when he asked if he could play Kerbal Space Program.
From your description, it sounds accurate.
Yeah. But yeah, that's a great show if you're a parent. Oh my gosh, it's hilarious. Yeah. So speaking of Legos, Sean, one of my goals for the year, one of my what do they call them? New Year's resolutions was I want to get organized and focused this year. And so one of the things that I want to do is I've always like said out loud, it's like, "Oh, I need to organize my Legos. Oh, I need to organize my Legos," but I've never done it. Dang it, this year I'm doing it. And so I was at the Dollar Tree just like wasting time one day because I needed to like burn off 5 minutes. And so I ended up finding these storage containers that kind of look like Legos at the Dollar Tree. And so I bought a bunch, and then my parents found a bunch, and they bought a bunch, and then I went and bought a bunch more. And so I have like 3 of these giant Lowe's, the big black tubs with the yellow lids. I have 3 tubs full of Legos of those that are just in my house. There's more at my parents' house. And I'm like, I bought out I bought out all of the organization tubs at Dollar Tree because I'm like, dang it, we're doing this. We're gonna do it right. We're gonna go back and we're gonna build sets from when I was a kid. This is gonna be awesome. And so I started to design the Lego organization unit in SketchUp, and I'm making like a table out of it with drawers. It's gonna be awesome. And so I'm right there with you in terms of the Lego stuff.
Donovan, I had no idea that you were rich at free time.
Right?
No.
Oh, jeez.
This is what I do instead of sleep.
Now, here's the thing. I've done this a couple times. I don't think we have quite as much as you possibly, but I've done this several times with my son over the years. And we get everything organized, and then a month later, it's not organized again. So I've actually stopped trying to do that. When he's 13, that's all on him now.
Yeah.
We just bought him, I guess you call it like a shelf and cabinet thing for his room. I posted a couple of things on Instagram about a week ago. And that's all his responsibility now. He actually has his builds out. He's doing stop motion animation. I'm stepping away from that. That's his problem now. I have a couple just like general sets that I bought. The what do they call them? The basics. And I'm basically putting that into like a travel case because I actually want a set of Legos I could take a look at and put things together and put them away without much. It doesn't have to be a set, nothing special. Just almost like a brainstorming session, like something to mindlessly do while I'm sitting around or something. So that's kind of the goal I have. And I bought 2 of them from Costco, 2 different ones. So I have 2 projects coming up. One is spaced theme, and the other one just like a general 1,500 piece basic set.
That's cool. Yeah, as Wes points to the Legos behind him.
There are no Legos in here.
Oh wait, that's not a Lego back there on the shelf? I thought that's why you were leaning over and pointing. I was like, oh yeah, Lego.
No, I was just letting the people back home see my son's wall more fully. So my giant head's blocking Bowser. I can see how you would think that. It does look like Lego stuff.
Yeah, it does.
So we're about an hour in. I have a feeling that a lot of catching up will probably spill over into next week as well, because I still have like 20 things on my list.
That's fine with me.
Yeah. You guys geeking out about anything in particular?
Yes.
That we did not already mention?
Yes. So there is an event that was recently announced for Elizabethtown, Kentucky. This is the second year that they're doing the Maker Alliance, which is I Like to Make Stuff's Patreon. They're doing a camp out. They basically rent out an entire campsite, and we're talking like bunks and stuff, not tent camping specifically. And they have pools there, and there's like a community area that has like several floors, and there's like a kitchen, and basically get the full run of the whole place. And last year it was like my favorite event, bar none. And so this year I am skipping Workbench Con, and I'm going to take my resources and put it in my attention. And so they said it's going to be in August. Head over to I Like to Make Stuff if you're interested in joining. There's other people that are in the chat right now that attended last year, and I'm looking forward to seeing them again. Last year there were like several maker. We talked about this ad nauseum, I think, in the past. But just in case you aren't aware, there are several classes. Last year we had D&D sessions. We had all kinds of different. I had a Pinewood Derby that my daughter won first place in for the stock class. Humble brag. And so we have to, hold our title. We have to sort of represent, and we'll bring it back. We'll bring our car back to see if we can keep the title.
Yeah, my son still touts that second place trophy on his dresser.
That's great.
Front and center, right there.
So I'm looking forward to that.
We're coming for you.
Let's do it. So that's in August. Head over to their stuff, and you can find information about it more specifically. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, specifically on that, there's a form that they put out to get gauge for how many people are coming, what interest they have, all that kind of stuff. You're not buying anything.
Right.
There is prices that they list for how much like tickets and meals and all that kind of stuff is going to cost.
It's really reasonable.
But it's just informative.
Yeah.
But definitely go fill that form out so that they can get a gauge of how many people are going to be there. I'm going to be there. I am so excited.
You bring your kids along too this time?
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah?
my gosh,
Okay.
it's gonna be awesome. I can't wait.
We'll drag Sean out there somehow.
Yep.
I'm looking at it and considering it. I have to figure out a couple things and look at the dates to make sure they don't conflict with some things I don't actually have a choice about. So
Sure.
I'll be trying to follow up.
Speaking of, oh, go for it.
No, go ahead. I'm still trying to pick.
Oh, I was gonna say, speaking of games that are coming out, there's trailers that came out for a game called Jedi Survivor, which is the sequel to Fallen Order,
Which I never beat.
Huh?
Which I never beat. I'm like 80% done. I didn't beat it. That's just how I play games.
Me at all.
It's just...
Is it worth playing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It is an amazing game. Amazing storyline. The main character is, it's a great game. I didn't know that they were going to make a sequel to it, and I didn't know that's what this was until I saw the trailer for it. But once I saw the trailer for it, and Cal Katarn is back, and oh man, it looks pretty awesome. So I'm geeking out about that. I'm amongst a million other things right now. What about you, Sean?
The last maybe 6 months, I've been really getting into racing and racing games, and even looking at maybe building a sim setup at some point. And one of the guys I've been watching online with a lot of the driving, racing, and the, I guess, stunts that he does, passed away recently. His name's Ken Block, and it was pretty sad to hear. So in honor of that, I guess there's a short documentary. I think it's like 20 or 30 minutes on YouTube called "Go Fast and Risk Everything." Is definitely a cool one to watch. But if you're a fan of racing, you've probably already seen it. But that's my pick.
My pick is our Patreon community that we have handcrafted and fawned over for years. We love each and every one of them, including our top patrons: Jordan, Nolan, Square Splinter, and C3D Prop Shop. You guys are awesome. So head over to patreon.com/makinggeeks to become one of our patrons, and you can join the cool discussions we have in Valheim and Minecraft and on Discord and other things. So we look forward to seeing you there.
Yeah, and speaking of cool discussions, if you know what I'm about to say, but if you don't, because this is the first time you are with us here on the podcast, reach out to us on social media, because we would love to know how you discovered this podcast. It would be very interesting to see like where our new audience is coming from. And if you do want to reach out to us, Sean can be found at Geek Builders, Wes can be found at Geek Smithing, and myself can be found at Once Upon a Workbench.
And you can find out some more information about the podcast on our website, makinggeeks.com. We have a what do we have? I forget. Oh, we have a contact page. It's so weird that after doing this many episodes and still kind of blanking on some of the basics sometimes. We have a contact page. So if you'd like to recommend any topics for the show or have any other recommendations, you can do that there on the contact page. We have a shop with Making Geeks themed merchandise for you to check out and possibly pick up. And you can listen to all the podcast episodes right there on the homepage of the site, makinggeeks.com. We'd like to thank everybody hanging out with us in the live chat. If you'd like to be part of that awesome group, we record every Thursday evening, 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central, and 6:30 Pacific. And we do that on YouTube, on the Making Geeks YouTube channel. So I'd like to thank everybody for listening, and we'll hope to see you next week. You can find new episodes of the podcast every Saturday morning on your favorite podcast player of choice. So Happy New Year once again, and we'll see you real soon.
Happy New Year, everybody.
I haven't seen you guys all year.
Hopefully it won't be another year.